Well, Razorback fans, it was another frustrating, nonsensical loss that the Razorbacks took that honestly shouldn't have been a loss. So we're going to do our best to talk about on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I'm also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Thursday. Hopefully all you in the Arkansas area are staying warm, staying safe, as I know there's been a lot of winter weather out there. And we're going to be driving in it today, actually, so heading back home. So hopefully we stay safe as well. But, oh, man, I come to you with another frustrating reaction to Arkansas. And in this particular case, it was against the number one team in the country, the Auburn Tigers. The Auburn Tigers, who, as all of you know, who have listened to this podcast, you know exactly how complimentary I've been of Auburn, how I still feel they're the head over heels, the best team in the country. They've had some huge wins, really well coached, really well done. They have it all. And going into this game, I talked about it yesterday on the podcast of what was it going to take for Arkansas to win? Like, what if Arkansas won? What would the impact be? And honestly, you should have won. You didn't. Give Auburn credit. You should have won. In my mind, it was going to have to take a very poor performance out of Auburn. It was going to have to take the type of performance where they don't shoot well from the field. They don't make a lot of great plays. They don't take care of the basketball, all of that. Because I even said, it's like, you're going to have to play your A game, and Auburn's going to have to play a C game, D game. Well, Auburn did their part for you. Auburn did their part. They did everything that they possibly could to try to give you this game. But you, like the customer service rep at a retail store, refused to take it. Refused to take the exchange. You didn't want it for whatever reason. The game against A&M on Saturday was about as frustrating as can be. I talked about it then. Losing a game the way, in that manner, having 17 turnovers, and basically where it's like it's gifted for you, but you can't take advantage. I honestly, truly didn't think it would happen again. I know, silly me, right? I did not think it would happen again. But this time it wasn't turnovers. This time it wasn't turnovers. This time it's just you didn't make shots. You didn't make shots, and you had dumb things happen. Again, this game, if you look at the stat sheet, Arkansas shot 45% from the field, which isn't too bad. But they shot 16% from three. They went 3 of 19. They went 7 of 14 from the free throw line, 50% from the free throw line. You had 11 turnovers, which is on pace for what you do all year long, pretty much. And you had 29 rebounds. Now, that stat line may not sound great, but when you compare it to Auburn shot 40% from the field. So you're talking about 5% less from the field. They shot 16.7%. So it's not like they just killed it from three. In fact, they went 0 of 10 in the second half from three-point land. And they went 13 of 17 from the free throw line, which obviously is better than you. But they turned the ball over 12 times. Janai Broome did pretty good. I mean, he had double-double, 16 of 13. That's kind of what he's been. It's kind of what he's been able to do so far this season. You had it. You had a lead, actually, late in the game. 3 minutes to go in the game. You took a lead on a 1-point lead, thanks to Nellie Davis. You did. But once again, you just find ways. You just find ways. A lot of you may be yelling at your screen or into your AirPods or whatever it is, and however you listen to this and watch this podcast, which I appreciate it. But a lot of you may be yelling at me saying, come on, man, like, what'd you expect? Did you expect Arkansas to go in and beat number 8 A&M on the road and beat the number one team, the team that you've been talking about as being the best team in the country? You really expect them to win those games? No. I didn't go into those games. I didn't go into these past 2 games expecting Arkansas to win these past 2 games. What I did not expect is after these 2 games to be looking back and saying Arkansas should have won. That's not what I expected. It's not that Auburn just beat you to a pulp because they were better than you. They gave you your chances. They gave you opportunities, and you could not take advantage. Big Z was no man's land. Me and you had as many points as Big Z tonight. Me and you. Dude went 0 of 10. 0 for 9 from three-point land. Horrendous. Duthero had 16 points, 6 of 13 from the field. Not bad. Nelly Davis, 5 of 9, 14 points. 4 assists, no turnovers. Had his own little 6-0 run. Carter Knox, shout out to him. This is back-to-back games that Carter Knox has played really well in offensively, and I really wish he'd get more opportunities. I really wish he'd play more offensively, at least getting featured more. Dude goes 5 of 6, 11 points, 4 rebounds. I mean, he's a true freshman out there, and me and Curtis were sitting here watching the game, and between him and Billy Richmond, who went 4 of 5 for 8 points, had 4 rebounds in this game as well as an assist. It's like those were the two guys that looked the most poised out there, the two true freshmen. They looked the best. But it wasn't enough. And it's the littlest of things that ends up costing you in these games. I feel bad for Trevin Brazil. I know people are going to be mad at him, and I get it. Because, he was frustrated. He didn't play well and hasn't played well. But my man started a 6-0 run for Auburn because he put the basket he put the ball in the basket for Auburn. He's going for a rebound. He didn't mean to. It's not like he was doing it on purpose, but it's just like, really? And then there's going up for a rebound, and him and I think it was Richmond, I think it was Billy, fought over it. Game on the line, like down by 3, and he touches it last and it goes out of bounds. It's just the small things, folks. That just is what makes the biggest difference, is just the smallest of things. When you think about sports, and we could say this about football, basketball, baseball, whatever it is, like, it's about details. It's about being able to, not make those small mistakes because they compile. You can get away with some mistakes because mistakes are going to happen. It's how it is every game. Mistakes are going to happen. But it's a matter of how do you overcome those mistakes? How do you make up for those mistakes? How do you do those things? Like what is it about? Well, it's the things like that. It's the things of like not going around there and putting the ball in the basket for the other team. It's making your free throws. It's getting one of your biggest offensive threats in Big Z to make one shot. And you may think it's so simplistic of a way of looking at it, and that's fine. But I'm going to look at it this way. If Big Z makes one shot, if he just puts one in the basket, and Trevin Brazil does not do that and put the ball in the basket right there, you win. You win the game. You missed 7 free throws. You lost by 7 points, 67-60. Obviously, it's not reasonable to think you're going to go 100% from the free throw line, but if you make 2, 3 more, which would have put you at your average, you probably win this game. And that, my friends, is what frustrates me the most. Not that you lost, but how you lost and how you continue to lose. We're going to talk about the tournament chances and everything in the next segment, so I'll wait for that. But I just don't get it. I don't get it. There's a lot of things I don't get. I get it. But I just don't understand how this can keep happening the way it does. And how you're good enough to be on the floor against the number 1 team in the country. A team that has beaten so many good teams. They're just trying to hand it to you, and you're not good enough to take it. You're not good enough to take it. And that's just any walk of life that you can really look into it. Is like if you're I look at it this way: if you're someone who's starving for food, and someone's trying to give you food, and you say no to it, and you don't want it, then it's like, I'm not gonna feel sorry for you. I'm not gonna look at you as a victim. I'm not gonna look at you as like, oh, poor pitiful you. It's simply like, what are you talking about? What are you doing? Eat. They're giving it to you. Eat. That's what Arkansas has been doing with this basketball team, especially these past 2 games. You're starving. You're starving for that tournament appearance. You're starving to try to get there. You're trying to get in the season well. Like you're begging for it. And here comes A&M, and here comes Auburn, and they're right here. We'll help you out. we'll get you those wins, those signature wins that you need. Here you go. We'll do what I can. And it's you going, nah, no, we'd rather turn the ball over. No, we don't want to make shots if I'm Big Z. No, we're going to put the ball in the basket in the other. I can't feel sorry for you. I know if we talk about moral victories, there's no moral victories, and I'm not taking a moral victory ever about this. You should have won this game, plain and simple. You're good enough to win, and you didn't. And it is frustrating. If you had told me Arkansas before the game was, before any context or anything, if you told me that Arkansas was going to lose the game 67-60, I probably would have signed up for it before the game, because I'd be like, hey, well, I don't sign up for losing, but it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. But not like this. Not in this way. I don't know what Cal's going to say in the locker room or anything like that. We'll never know. Maybe we'll see it when it comes out on Vice. But I know he's got to be frustrated. I liked a lot of the things he did. Some of the decisions and leaving people in, like having Brazil in late in the game, not giving Carter Knox more minutes in the second half. Like, those are the things that's going to bother me. But either way, you got work to do. You got a big game against Missouri coming up. No one's going to feel sorry for you. You got to turn around. You got to get you going. Some of you may be upset, though, and may say, like, who cares? This team sucks. Okay, whatever. I think that's dumb. I'm going to tell you why you need to be hopeful. I'm going to tell you why you need to be excited and why you still got to look at this team and root this team on to an NCAA tournament bid. We'll talk about that on the other side of the break, so stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, I am here to tell you about our friends over at Roy. The future of college sports is here, and it's very transparent. Before the Roy app, NIL negotiations often happened under the table, and fans didn't have a clear way to directly support the athletes that they love. But now with Roy, you can get the best part of the change and supports of the Razorbacks of Arkansas here and all their student athletes there in the most transparent way possible. Roy, the NIL app, allows you to choose the player that you want to support, decide how much to contribute, and receive exclusive content from the athletes that you back. And the best part about it is if your player transfers, you get your money back. It's a risk-free way to show your support. The Roy app is giving fans control, no more uncertainty. Now you can provide transparent, impactful support and help shape the team and the future of college sports with your contributions. Download the Roy app today and now on the App Store and start backing Razorback athletes the way that they deserve with transparency, trust, and real impact. This is the future of college sports. Join it now by downloading Roy app and supporting your favorite players with the Roy app. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. So I want to talk about this NCAA tournament thing. The deal with Arkansas right now is that if you're looking at KenPom ratings, if you're looking at net rankings, if you're looking at, efficiencies and everything, like Arkansas is still in the tournament. They're still a team that's going to be considered to be in the tournament, despite their record, despite being 4-9 right now. They're there. Now, obviously, you have to win games. That helps you. You got Missouri coming up, and we'll do some previewing here after a while in the next few days. But you got an opportunity to add one to your resume, and you're a tournament team. And I see so many. Not saying of you isn't like a majority, but there's a lot of people there just like, this is not a tournament team. I'm moving on to next year. Baseball season's here, blah, blah, blah. And that could be just in the moment. That could be just you being upset. And I get it. But that's not the approach I like. And that's not the approach I'm going to have. And I don't think that's the approach you should have. And I'm going to try to convince you. I'm going to try to convince you as to why. I love the NCAA tournament, like so many of you. Watching it and betting on it and making brackets and all that stuff. It's fun. But the reason I've always found it fun, and so many other people find it fun, is because of the chaos that comes with it. The unpredictability, the uncertainty, the Cinderella runs, the major upsets, the teams that come out of nowhere ended up taking care of business. Like, those are the things that I love about the NCAA tournament. And we don't love it because it happens only once in a blue moon. We love it because it happens every single year. Field of 68, you never know what's going to happen. You never know who's going to go on a run. You never know who's going to be the final four teams. You may predict it. Sure, you may be able to, but there's a reason why it's near dadgum near impossible to be able to have a perfect bracket. It's just not in the cards. So considering that, I want to get to the tournament regardless, even if it's at a 12 seed. I want to get to the tournament because I want to roll the dice and see what happens. You can't be voted the best dancer at the dance if you don't even get invited to the dance. You don't even have the chance to prove yourself if you can't even get into the door. And I'm not going to sit here and say that if Arkansas gets in as a 12 seed, that's going to make them get to the tournament. You know, I'm not going to approach it that way. Or that's going to help them advance in the tournament, I should say. It's not going to be that way. But what it's going to do for me is it's going to make me think that, like, hey, maybe it's about the matchups. Maybe they get hot. Maybe they do this. Maybe they do that. And that's all I want. That's all anybody should want. And I'll continue to bang this drum, folks. If Arkansas say they get in as an 11 seed and they're in the play-in games up in Dayton, if they do something like that, it'll be kind of funny. Obviously didn't go as well as you thought it would, as I thought it would be in the regular season. But say if they get in there as the 11 seed, and they just find a way randomly, whether it's about the type of teams they play or about, hey, they just get hot from shooting one day, which, man, wouldn't that be nice to see? Or maybe the other teams that they play aren't playing very well, whatever it is. And they make it to the Sweet 16. They lose, but they make it to the Sweet 16. Are any of you going to look back and be like, yeah, but that season sucked? Are you going to look back and be like, yeah, Sweet 16's there, but we didn't even deserve to be invited, so it's all null and void? No. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to celebrate it. You're going to have fun with it, as you should. But you can't even have that if you don't get there, if you don't get invited. So anybody that's already moving on to next season or just moving on to baseball season, fine. But don't expect to just be a part of it when if the NCAA tournament thing does happen. And if Arkansas does make a run. Because if they don't, there's a chance they don't make the tournament. But if they don't, okay, move on. That's fine. But I'm still going to follow this team. I'm still going to be rooting for them. I'm still going to be hoping that they actually get to the tournament, no matter what's a seed, no matter where it's at, no matter who they play. I want to be there at the dance. Even if it's just crawling in there and everything. Like, I want to be there. I want to celebrate it. I want to have fun with it. So just keep that in mind, okay? Understand that. And we'll see where it plays out. Who knows? Maybe we'll all be surprised at this point. All right. I got to go to Auburn. I'm here actually recording for those of you who may not be aware. I guess I should have said that in the intro, but I'm here at Neville Arena still recording this podcast here at Auburn. And I got my thoughts. A lot of you want to know my thoughts. I'll give you my first impression thoughts of Auburn's jungle here on the other side of the break. So stay with us on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right. So moving on into the final segment here of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Obviously, Arkansas losing this game was frustrating. We all know that in talking about it. But I was really excited to experience this game here at Auburn and in Neville Arena because I've heard so many things about it. I don't know if everybody else has, but I've heard how many times that this team has just had an atmosphere like it's untouched and like one of the best in the country and one of the loudest places and everything. I didn't see it tonight. Now, it's going to upset some Auburn people. I know. There's probably some Auburn people listening right now. Might be coming up here going to fight me. And I'm not just saying it. You can say it because I'm biased or I'm a homer or anything, but I had very high expectations. Now, the atmosphere was not bad by any stretch. It was a good atmosphere. I don't want to make it sound like it was awful. But it just wasn't what it was supposed to be. It wasn't what it was cracked up to be. Just didn't see it. And I was, I don't know, kind of disappointed in that. Now, the people were nice. The Auburn faithful and Auburn fans have been great. The campus here at Auburn is awesome. In fact, it's besides Fayetteville, I think it's my favorite campus that I've ever been to, especially in the SEC. Truly, I mean, the people's great. The area is great. The downtown area is great. The nightlife's great. Everything's great. I really enjoyed my time here, and I will be back for sure. But as far as the atmosphere here, it's just fine. Now, maybe I need to come here for a few more games. Some people are saying, well, isn't it kind of a weird crowd anyways? And, I even saw some people saying, well, what do you expect? I mean, they're playing Arkansas in the midweek. Like, whatever. That's not even a good team. I don't care. You're the number one team in the country, my friend. Like, I believe that if the roles were reversed and Arkansas was having the year that Auburn was having, beating the teams that they have, and they were the number one team in the country, I'd like to think that no matter who Arkansas played in the SEC at home, the atmosphere would be next level insane at Bud Walton Arena. In fact, I don't just assume that. I know it would be. Let's just be honest. So, yeah, I was just disappointed. I'll be frank. I was disappointed in it. Expected a lot more. And I know the atmosphere in Bud Walton hasn't been great this year. You've heard me talk about it. It feels like everybody's talking about it if you're a Razorback fan. But there's nothing like Bud Walton Arena. I'm just starting to believe it. I started thinking it was just because I'm biased and I haven't been to places. But I went to Rupp, which was for the biggest, craziest atmosphere that they've ever had. And I came here to Auburn, who's the number one team in the country and just coming off a huge win against Alabama, their rival on the road. Give me Bud Walton Arena all day long. Bud Walton Arena at its best is the best atmosphere in the SEC, and it's not close. Kentucky and Auburn were two of the places that I was told could rival it. Doesn't come close. Because I could still hear just fine. My ears aren't ringing whatsoever. Just saying. Sorry to upset you Auburn fans. And who knows, maybe I came back. Maybe it was just a bad day. Maybe. Probably not. But when Bud Walton's at its best, which it hasn't been this year, but when it's at its best, still the best in the SEC. Just saying. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. Keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel. Tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.